say yes. Why? Why is it better for you? You know. No, you aren't going to raise your hand. Nothing so radical to talk about such a subject.
Well, our group was talking. Everyone had some really interesting input. One of the things we said is, of course, we believe that it would be better not to be prejudiced, but how to overcome it, I think, it'd be impossible. Like, for example, when you had asked us earlier in the classroom, is prejudice decreasing over time, and our group kind of said, well, maybe it's still this exact same level. We're just better at hiding it. Like, it's not as blatant. So how do you overcome prejudice when you've been kind of accustomed to it for so long? I mean, is it impossible to overcome? So those are the kind of questions that we have.
Yeah, but I think that one thing that has happened, at least in the American societies, the civil rights movement did take place, right?
Right.
The government did say, came out front after the Freedom Riders and all the other things we're going to see later in the class, but there were these changes. So in a sense, we have things like political correctness, or it's not cool to be racist anymore, and all that. Now, when you bring up children then, don't you bring up children differently in that environment than, say, your parents brought you up? At least for me, there was a difference. I brought up my children very differently. Well, of course, they were mixed, so it might have had something to do with it, but, a mixed race. All right. But, it's like, over time, the upbringing, the socialization that is, in a way, the seed of prejudice, right? It does shift. Now, you still come in contact with the prejudice, in various areas, but to me, it's qualitatively different in that sense. Now, of course, when prejudice used to be so blatant and so all-pervasive, now we're saying, well, it's not like that anymore. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I don't think it has quite the same intensity, at least in general. At least I feel my generation, say, compared to my parents' generation, there was a shift, and then younger generations after. They're not socialized, to hate people to the extent, or these rationalizations which then are never challenged by anybody. Now they get challenged more often. It's hard to stay in your little world where you believe these things, and and you're safe and comfortable, and you're never upset by anything. When I grew up, I lived only in white neighborhoods. I never met except once I played touch football, I met a person who wasn't white. That was the only time until I went to college. And then I never went to a school which had a non-white person in it until I went to college. And even then, there were just a few tokens of non-white people. So, my children, totally different experience. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, because I feel like, sometimes I feel like it seems like it's, I went to Sonoma State for 3 years before I came here, and the campus was 82% Caucasian. Yeah. And the president of the university, there was this big thing that the chancellor was upset that he wasn't attracting, he wasn't finding a way to attract more or other racial groups to come to the school. And here it's so diverse.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. There it was almost kind of eerie.
Well, then you can imagine what it was like for me when I was growing up.
But it was normal at that time,
Yeah, I know.
But I come from being in LA where it's very racially diverse, and then I went up there and I was like, this is strange.
Okay, right. That's a difference. Yeah, it's no longer normal. Right, exactly. Yes?
So is being prejudiced acceptable as long as you don't discriminate and act upon your prejudgments?
No, it's not acceptable.
But if you don't, it's just something that's in your mind, it's just the way you think about things or your attitude,
but
you don't do anything to express it.
But it's got to affect you in some ways. You can't just, if it's in you and you believe it, you can't shut it off so that it doesn't affect your behavior in any way. People can feel it. Here's one of the things that research has shown, is that a lot of times when whites and blacks are interacting, You ask the white person how the interaction went, oh, they said fine. You know, they said, do you have any prejudice against black people? Oh, no, none at all. You ask the black person, how did it go? Not so well. Why? Well, non-verbally I could tell that the other person didn't really like me that much or was uncomfortable with me, you know, there's some anxiety or something like that. And the white person's not aware of this, doesn't even know that this happened. You see, so it's affecting, no, but what I'm saying is, you know, that maybe you're brought up to believe some of these things, and then you're trying not to express them and stuff, but it's affecting just how you carry yourself. And when you're relating to members of that group, it is going to affect you, you know, to some degree. You know, so that's why the best thing is to admit your prejudice. Okay, this is the message now.
So you're saying that everyone has to admit their prejudice even though they feel like they aren't?
That's usually,
I'm not saying this is me, I'm just asking.
well, the odds are that you are prejudiced, okay, for all of us. The odds are.
Well, I mean, everyone uses stereotypes whether they.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's the message then. Admit your prejudice, and then you can deal with it. If you don't admit it, you can't deal with it.